Hey, what's up, everybody? So today I figured I would talk about sports as a kid and default hobbies. So to start it off with sports, I mean, so when I was younger, my parents pretty much put me in every single sport they could think of. And like, I get it, you want your kid to be athletic and get exercise and all this stuff and not just sit around the house all day. Redis technology is popping off and that's becoming a problem. I would say more or less, because I think in their generation it was like, oh, this is so weird. When I was a kid, all I did was play outside all the time, and now, kids are just sitting inside even a little bit, like, half as much as they are now in the current day, and they probably thought that was so weird. Um, that kids just that their own kids weren't playing outside and they were sitting, inside playing Game Boy or watching TV or whatever else, watching cartoons. So anyway, yeah, my parents put me in like every single sport they could think of. So I'm just gonna give you guys a rundown of the sports that I played and like what I remember about them, pretty much. So I think the earliest one that I was in was soccer. That was like that's the first one I can even remember. I was on like several different teams. Um, and I was like, I don't know, less than 10 years old, you know what I mean? I don't really remember it that well. But what I do remember about soccer is it was on like Saturday or Sunday mornings, and I hated that. I was like, I already get up for school. I already wake up and go to school, and it's on my weekend. I don't want to. I just remember complaining to my parents, like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. Like, it's early. I just want to like stay at home and like eat cereal and watch TV. That's basically um, what I remember telling them. And I wasn't like super terrible at soccer or anything. Um, I don't even remember like what position I played. Yeah, I was on several different teams. I don't even remember the names. It was like green lizards and purple falcons or whatever. Um, so I never really got into it super seriously, but I think my parents must have eventually let me quit because, I mean, we eventually stopped going, but once I stopped playing soccer, they like found me something else to do. Basically, when I was a kid, I was always doing, or like mostly always doing, um, at least, one sport, at least as far as I can remember. I don't really, like my memory as a kid, like basically before seventh grade, sixth grade, like with certain things like that I don't really, that like didn't interest me. I don't really remember that shit very well. Um, but anyway, I remember playing baseball. That's the next sport. I played baseball as well. And I was so bad at batting, so bad at batting. Um, and they stuck me like in the outfield. Like I could throw and catch pretty well. I think I was in like left or right field. I remember just standing out there, during the games and like occasionally I would catch like a pop fly and throw it in. But I mean, we're 80% of the time out there, you're just standing in the fucking heat away from everybody. Just, trying to pay attention but every time I was up to that, I would just strike out. And I was afraid of the ball. I was definitely afraid of the ball as a kid, and like I remember going up against this one kid and like, oh, this pitcher is so good, he's so good. I was a little bit older at this point too, so probably like mm, maybe like 13-ish, I'd say. But yeah, dude, I was scared of the ball because baseballs are fucking hard, man. It's not like a tennis ball or something. And if you get hit in the head or like in the body with that, it can, really fuck you up. And anyway, yeah, I would strike out every time. I think I like kind of remember, when I would go up, there'd be like two strikes and like, oh, like, you're up to that. And my teammates would, basically be like getting ready in the dugout to like go out to outfield. I kind of remember that. I don't remember. I don't know if that's like a solid memory, like that actually really happened or not. That's kind of what I remember. It kind of didn't, I don't know, like I remember it not bothering me that much because it's like, yeah, like if was, waiting in line and somebody who sucks goes up to bat, I put on my glove too or whatever. Um, but anyway, I remember one time I was up to bat, my first hit, dude pitched it. I hit it, like I hit the ball, I swung and I hit, and I just like watched it for a second, Um, and I was just standing there, and my coach or whoever, like there were a couple people I remember like yelling at me, they're like, run, 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 because I was so used to just not like doing anything. I'm so used to just going up and striking out every single time. And I think I ran to first base, and I think the outfielder caught it, I'm pretty sure, just like easy out. And that was like my only hit ever in baseball. Um, so, that was like pretty much my experience with that. Um, and then this is like a separate baseball team, like separate program, I'm pretty sure. I don't really know for sure because my thoughts are pretty scattered on on these things where I was so young. But I remember I was at practice, um, at like a different baseball field is what I remember. I definitely remember it was a different field, like different location from where I hit that ball. And I was playing shortstop, which is more of like an active position in baseball than an outfielder, obviously. So I don't know what the deal was or like what drill we were doing or anything, but all I remember is, um, and I don't know if he did this on purpose either, but the coach, whoever was our coach, he like, he would stand at the home plate and he just like threw up the ball with his left hand and he would just hit, swing and hit the ball with the bat. Um, and I don't know how exact he could be with that really, but this dude fucking swung, just line drive straight to me, like straight fucking to me. I was fucking scared. Like as it was happening, I was like, holy fuck. And I put my glove up and I just caught the ball, straight out of the air. And I took it and I, threw it back to the pitcher or whatever we were doing, or the pitcher or the catcher. I don't even remember. But I was like surprised at myself that I even caught it, you know? Um, and I just think back on that moment, like, what did he have in his head? If that went wrong and I didn't catch that shit and just I don't know, 50-mile-an-hour baseball hits me in the fucking head, as a kid, like, what do these, at that time, I was probably, again, like early teens, probably. What would that dude have done? Oh, sorry, parents. Yeah, I just hit a line drive to your kid and hit him in the fucking head when he wasn't ready for it. Like, that shit was fast. I remember I, like, put my glove up and, like, barely caught it. I was surprised that I caught it. Um, and that's pretty much all I remember from baseball. Then let's go to indoor soccer. This was like years later, I think, after I like originally played soccer like on an outdoor field. And indoor soccer, if you don't know, is obviously like indoors. There's no out of bounds pretty much. So you can just kick the shit out of it to the side of the field and it'll just like bounce off like this plexiglass or like the walls that they have built. It's kind of like a hockey rink, basically, like soccer, but in a hockey rink is how I'd describe it. And again, like my strongest memory of that sport, and like I'm telling you guys all these stupid ass stories that makes me sound like super uncoordinated and unathletic, but I'm actually like decently athletic and I do have like good coordination, but just like as a kid, this is what I remembered. I'm not just telling you, oh, I'm a super unathletic person and, it was just so over from the get-go or whatever. But in indoor soccer, what I specifically remember the most, I would always go to this one building. It was like pretty close to my house. Indoor soccer is not that common, especially back then. So, there was only basically one place to do it, like close to my house. And I went there always to play. And I was like on some team. My parents must have signed me up for like some team. I like other than like what I'm about to tell you, I remember almost nothing about this. But yeah, I was there and I had the ball and I was like recovering, right? So I was like on my teams defending half of the field. And in indoor soccer, if you just, I don't know, or like losing control or anything, you can just kick the shit out of it into the wall and it'll just bounce off and go like to the other side of the field, right? So that's what I was trying to do. I was like recovering and somebody was chasing me, I think, and I just kicked the shit out of the ball. And I wanted to kick it like up above, on the wall, and I kicked that shit like right into my own goalie's like right top, the top left corner of the net. There's like no way he could have done it. He was like, I don't remember, he didn't even like jump or move or do anything. I just kicked that shit as like hard as I could, basically, and it was just like top corner of our own goal. I scored like an own goal in my team, and I remember like one of the, I think it was like the opposing, it was like one of the opposing kids' parents who was like laughing, you know, um, which, I like barely remember that shit. Like I remember like kicking it and scoring the goal, but I like barely remember like anything else. Um, that was like indoor soccer for me. And then one last story, um, basketball. Basketball, I'd probably say, I don't know, I was pretty fucking bad at baseball. Soccer, I was like decent. Um, Basketball was also like, I was pretty fucking bad at basketball too, but like I never really learned. I still to this day like to get, I mean, an actual shot. You're supposed to put backspin on the ball when you shoot it. I like never really learned how to do that. But anyway, um, basketball. I basically played Y ball as a kid, and the one memory that stands out about basketball is um I'm on defense, right? And I'm guarding the point guard. And the dude is just, I like remember the gym it was in. It was in like some like shitty school gym. And I'm guarding the point guard um three times in a row, whatever that's called. Like after they get possession and come back, I'm standing there and I'm just like crouched over, like knees bent forward. Yeah, like knees bent forward from the waist with my hands out, just standing like that, not shuffling to the side, maybe shuffling a little bit to the side, but like not doing like anything, right? And the reason I say like three times is because I remember the point guard would just stand there and he was just dribbling. I don't even remember if he had his other hand up. He was just like dribbling 2 feet in front of me, like not trying to like hide the ball from me or anything. And I thought, um, those three times, I was like, I could easily just steal this ball from him. All I have to do is just wait till he dribbles the ball down, and as soon as it comes back up, just snatch it and run. But I remember, so for the three times I was thinking, I could definitely do this. Is it legal? Like, is there some rule I'm not forgetting? Am I sure that I can do this? And like, I don't just want to steal it and then have the ref blow the whistle, because I didn't know the rules that well. Um, and, um, I thought about it like a couple times over like the 3, 4 times that he came back. And eventually I decided, yeah, dude, this is legal. Like I can do this. And I made my move. He bounced it. And just like I said, like when it came back up off the ground, I just ran towards him, like stole that shit, like no problem. And it was just a breakaway, like, me dribbling the ball down the court, towards the other side. And for Y ball, at least, like crowd goes wild, at least in my mind as a kid, right? Like people were like cheering and shit. And I dribbled down to the net, like try to like go for a layup. Just completely missed that shit. Like completely missed that shit. Gets like rebound, opposite team recovers, and we go back to the, I don't know, like the center line or whatever. I'm guarding the point guard, and like now this time, of course, he's got like his hand out and he's like dribbling it from, hiding the ball like behind his body and shit. Like he learned his lesson, right? I just got completely fucking missed um, that shot. So yeah, that was like basketball for me. And I don't really have, like, I kind of have like like a few other like barely memories of basketball, but I didn't, I don't know. I didn't really like any of those sports. Like soccer was okay. But it was like the getting up in the morning. I didn't want to do that when I was like a little kid. Never really stuck to it that much. Baseball was fucking horrible. Um, yeah, basketball. And this was like all pre high school, by the way. Like all of that I just said was pre high school. And then like tennis. I don't even remember when I started tennis, but tennis, I don't even remember my first time playing tennis or how I really got actually into it and started to like develop my skills, because I would imagine that would be like the most frustrating part. I don't even remember that part, honestly. I barely do. But tennis was actually pretty fun, and it was like the one sport. It wasn't a team sport, right? Tennis, you just play singles by yourself. It's like all mental. You don't have to like rely on anybody. And I just like naturally liked that, basically. Didn't have to like, I don't know. Oh well, like Billy sent me a shitty pass, and like that's why we lost the game. Like none of that shit. Um. Anyway, so yeah, that was kind of like sports for me as a kid. Um, and I was more into like, I don't know. I was never like a great skater. I can still to this day like ride a skateboard around, like wheelie, and I could never really like even ollie shit. But I was like more into like board sports and that kind of like, I don't know. What do you call that? Like alternative sports, I guess. Snowboarding, skateboarding, did wakeboarding a couple times. Um, yeah, that was kind of like more of my jam. But yeah, I think that's pretty much what I was gonna say. And then um part two. So default hobbies. That is like kind of the term I've come up with for it. Um like, does anybody else feel like video games and watching TV, stuff like that, it's kind of like a default hobby, you know what I mean? Because when you were growing up, it's not like you had any other, I don't know. Like I was really into woodworking, or I was really into like building RC planes, or like doing something like actually different and interesting, like something that is its own hobby. It's kind of excusable because, like early 2000s, um, well, not early 2000s, like all the 2000s, basically, technology was like blowing up and, um, like advancing super rapidly. Like, dude, the amount of hours I put onto my Game Boy Advance as a kid, um, was pretty staggering. um, I don't know. It's like semi-excusable because of the technology, and it was getting so good. And um, I think kids are just more naturally drawn to things like that. Um, like the modern things that are coming out as you're growing up. But part of me is like, isn't that just being a professional consumer? You know what I mean? Um, like people who like, what are your hobbies? Oh, I play video games and I watch TV and I watch movies and I like keep up with the latest trends of like which companies are dropping like the newest phone and all this shit, right? Um, which is like interesting because I like the technology, but I don't know. I just feel like it's kind of, like I said, a default hobby. You just kind of fall into it because you're not doing anything else as a kid. It's like I'm not going out meeting people, being creative. I'm just kind of like here, and this company provides me this product that I heard about. All my friends have it, so like I'm gonna play it and like, try and fit in. And I don't know, like I remember taking my, like when I was fighting the Elite Four, I remember taking it to the middle school playground, and I needed like an elixir or whatever the item was that like gave your Pokemon like more PP, I think it was that. I don't even remember. That didn't make sense because before the Elite Four, you could, or during the Elite Four, you couldn't like receive items. Um, but is that like an actual fucking hobby? Especially as you get older, it's like you're fucking 35, and your hobby is, I don't know, man. I'm like pretty torn on that. Especially when you're young, it's like this shit is just marketed to you, you know. Um, like Pokemon pretty much got exactly what they wanted, as like their dream business scenario actually played out in front of them, right? All these kids from America got like super addicted and in love with their franchise. I still love fucking Pokemon, dude. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you guys, but um I don't know, you're not really doing anything that's gonna propel you forward in life. You're not like learning anything useful. again, that kind of morphed into, oh, I'm interested in video games, and I'm interested in video games. I'm interested in technology. I'm interested in technology, and now I want to be like a computer science major. That's pretty much how it goes for shit, man. Seriously, probably 90% of people who are CS majors, I would say, or got CS degrees in the last like 10, 15 years. So it can morph into something actually good, but I don't know. I don't really know where we're going with that. But those people though, who are just like their whole personality is, oh, I'm like a professional WoW player, or I'm a professional fucking Overwatch player, and I know all the lore and like this and that, and I've read the books, and it's like, cool, man, like you know everything about a fucking fantasy world, good for you. Do you want to like, I don't know, do something in real life? But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I've got to say for now. But yeah, so there's your sports and semi put together rant on default hobbies.